Creator News Live. I'm so excited I can't even talk because I have got the Mastermind group that I'm a part of every Monday here with me today. This is going to be so much fun. We'll do introductions in a minute, but I want you guys to know that these folks have not just been like colleagues that we meet, and all this business stuff, but they become friends and family, and it's just so much fun to share this with you guys. Connor is off. I don't know if he's getting on a boat or whatever, but he couldn't make it. But I'm excited to have all of you with me today. This is going to be fun. Paul Gowder and I run this mastermind together, and Paul is kind of going to be helping me with the co-hosting duties today, as well as showing kind of behind the scenes of how we do mastermind. So this is going to be a lot of fun. We've already got some of our friends and fellow Momentum people here with us. The amazing Zach Brown saying, so many incredible people on the screen. I hope he's watching our show and not something else accidentally. But yes, Zach, these are some amazing people. Thank you so much for stopping in the show. And we've got, but mostly Disney saying, hey, I know these guys. Yes, Sean is, he shows up about every week, so we're excited to have him with us as well. Are you guys ready?
We're ready.
Just quiet. I was like, what's going to happen? This is so different. So I'm going to go to a screen with Paul and I, and we're going to start the show, kind of do the intros, and I'll come back to this main screen, and we'll kind of show how the mastermind works. So here we go. Let me go over here, and I'm going to hit go on the podcast machine, and we'll get started. Hello, folks. Welcome to Creator News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not.
And I'm Paul Gowder, and this is the show that keeps you up to date with what's happening in the world of the creator economy and so much more.
You ever wish you could gather a few smart creators around a table, talk about what's actually going on in your business, and get honest feedback from people who get it? The people understand algorithms, thumbnails, email lists, launches, and why you spend 2 hours adjusting a caption font that nobody else will ever notice. If that sounds familiar, well, today's episode is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, that's right, Jeff. So normally on your show, we bring on a guest, pick their brain, get to know their business. But today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to pull back the curtain on our weekly mastermind and give you a little something, a little taste behind the scenes of how we do this.
So we're going to run this live mastermind session right here on the show, as Paul was saying. And how are we going to do it, Paul?
All right, we'll start with what we start with every week, and that is the wins of the week. And then we'll put somebody on the hot seat or maybe do some open discussions. But let's start with the wins of the week because, as our friend Lou says, celebrating those small wins is so important. So let's start ladies first, maybe. Amy, you got a win of the week?
So what we're going to do first, because once again, we want to get you guys involved too in the comments. So if you've got ideas, suggestion, or just want to play along with our mastermind at home, you can jump right in the chat and be a part of this mastermind. So if you ever wondered why so many creators swear by mastermind groups, you'll see that today exactly how they work. So sit back, clear your schedule, clear your mind, and get ready for this week's episode of Creator News Live.
If you're building all alone and could use a smarter zone, Kira, Amy, Rich, and Paul, masterminds help when problems call. Jim's got live video dialed in right, helping your streams look sharp and bright. Kira keeps your socials on track, so your audience keeps coming back. Amy helps museums share their story, turning great ideas into PR glory. Paul makes email marketing sane, turning your list into a powerful thing. Rich brings dirt racing PR to the show, helping fans who want to know. Put those minds around one call. Mastermind, y'all.
Well, there you go, folks. Our amazing mastermind. That was a quick introduction, but before we kind of get into our wins of the week, I do want to go around and let people kind of introduce themselves. Since this is kind of a different kind of format, kind of introduce themselves. Tell us a little bit about your business. And we're going to start, ladies first, with Amy. Amy, talk about who you are and what you do.
Yes, I'm Amy Keys. I have owned Keys Communications for 25 years now. It started as just a PR firm for whoever would hire me, but now I've niched down and I do public relations, brand strategy, communication strategy for museums.
Awesome. Kira, how about you?
Hi, I'm Kira Pogi-Brevka. I'm a content and social media strategist. And similar to Amy, when I started my business, it was just kind of blanket for everyone's small businesses. But I've really made a shift thanks to this mastermind. And I'm focusing on my heart space, which is theater. So theaters and arts organizations, helping them with their strategies to build audience and community.
Jim, what about you, my friend?
Yes, I'm the president of Fusion Marketing. And what I've been really focusing on, aside from Substack, is helping businesses educate and grow using video.
Awesome. Rich Watts.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and everybody. I'm Rich Watts. I own Addicted to Dirt, PR and media management. We handle dirt motorsports, PR marketing for our teams, helping them improve their visibility and promoting their partners. We're just kicking off our 7th season in business, and primarily based in the Northeast, but we've got clients spread across the country, so different regions.
Awesome, my friend Paul Gowder.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Paul Gatter. I founded powwows.com, the leading place for you to come explore, experience, and connect with Native culture. I also help creators level up their game using email marketing and building community.
Awesome. So that's everybody in the mastermind. We have a great group, and it's kind of an eclectic group. And a lot of us met at Momentum. We talk about Lou Mangello a lot on here, but and Jim and I have known each other for a long time from back in the social media marketing world days. So this group came together, and it's just been a wonderful part of my week and helping all of us grow kind of together. So what we usually do in a format on Monday nights is we meet together, we come in, we just kind of chew the fat for a little bit, but then we start with the wins of the week. Then we go into what we call a hot seat, where somebody from the group, either we go around kind of once a week to somebody, or somebody asks specifically like, hey, can I be in the hot seat because I have this thing I want to work on. And then we kind of deep dive into that person's problem or project, and we all kind of help them make breakthroughs, give them some things to think about, maybe some things to change or things they haven't thought of before, and we discuss that as a group. And it really does make a difference because, one, you have to get ready for your hot seat, and two, you're accountable because people are like, hey, you haven't done anything for like the last time you were here. What's going on? So the accountability helps too. But we're going to start just like we do, and we're going to do wins of the week. And I'm going to start with, once again, ladies first, Amy, what is your win of the week?
Well, I am in the hot seat today, which means I had to get ready for the hot seat. So that is my win of the week. I have been working, and you'll hear a little bit more in a minute, but I've been working on my brand messaging this quarter. I've had a couple of hot seats around it. So I'm kind of coming to the hot seat today with homework. And yes, that's what I've been working on this week. So it was a nice kick in the pants to get that done.
Nothing like a kick in the pants. So Kira, what about you? What is your win of the week?
So I launched my Substack newsletter officially last week and have been growing subscribers over the weekend, but got my first paid subscriber, which I know I shared with some of you before.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited about having that newsletter actually going. And then I relaunched my podcast later this afternoon, actually. So I'm excited to be working on that again and getting it out into the world.
So where can people find this podcast, and what's the title of it?
Oh, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you asking.
Yeah.
The Authentic Communicator. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And yeah, it's actually a lot of these wonderful individuals have been on the podcast, and more to come, talking about marketing, and more theater and arts professionals will be on moving forward.
Very, very cool. Yeah. So it can be found at any podcast player everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Very, very cool. All right.
Thank you.
Jim Fuse, your win of the week.
I'm going to say my wins of the week is Substack's been doing a lot with video. They just launched a recording studio. They also launched some new features inside of the desktop where you can actually screen share. And so I created a couple of videos / post on my publication. I got it out on YouTube, shared it on Facebook, LinkedIn, and I've gotten some really positive feedback from it. So, and then I was playing around this morning. You can actually use the recording studio on your phone. So that's something I'll be talking about later.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't followed Jim, you need to follow him because he is like all in on Substack. He's got some great tutorials. When something breaks, he usually, talks about what a new feature. So he's kind of my go-to guy when I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on over at Substack. So Rich Watts. Sorry, Rich Watts. Brooks is a whole other show, another podcast. But Rich Watts, tell us what about your win of the week.
Well, I'm glad you're all sitting down.
Okay.
Because I finally made the move over to Kit.
Oh, there we go.
I knew that would make Paul happy.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know we talked about the sequences and all of that as part of this group months ago. I finally stopped procrastinating, made the move, got it all connected to our sites, got the first couple little sequences set up and tested, and we're up and running. So
very cool. So
That's awesome.
Have you migrated from like your old platform already over? Is that what kind of happened? Okay.
Yeah. MailChimp was what we were on.
Mm-hmm.
That was fine for a starter for the first few years. But there's so much more there in Kit and just so many more benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally got that going, and you've been right all along, Paul. It's so easy to work with. Got set over there. I think today we're pushing one last newsletter out for one of our clients out of the old software, and then cutting the cord and done. So yeah.
That's really. Did they help you migrate, or did you do it all yourself?
Did it myself. It's super easy.
Okay.
It's really easy to import. It's so intuitive. The whole process, not just migrating, but creating stuff. Highly recommend.
Here's a question, and this is a great question as we Paul, that you might want to answer too. Is it better to clean your list before you move, or did you clean it after? Are you planning on cleaning it after? Like, what are you kind of your thoughts on that, Rich?
I'm going to clean it after. I thought about that, but part of the reason for that for me is that we just went through kind of a winter break. We're a little seasonal. A lot less content in the dead of winter around the holidays and so forth. And so people are sort of tuned out a little bit, and that's okay. It's a racing season break. We don't do as regular content in the winter. Mm-hmm. So I thought for our purposes, I'm going to wait, get the new season going here, see who's really re-engaged, then clean, in the next month or so here. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Okay.
But that may be different for others. Paul would.
What do you think, Paul?
So, yeah, I think doing it after, because the way I like to clean a list is giving them a few emails to kind of catch up or respond. Plus, your deliverability is going to be different on the two platforms. So give everybody a chance to get that last email. And I'm going to need a clip of Rich telling me I was right all along. So, Jeff, if you can send that to me, that'd be great.
I'll get that to you. Yeah.
You and my wife both.
Yeah. Exactly.
She always wants proof too.
Yeah. Rich Graham, the amazing Rich Graham, says Kit versus MailChimp is like night and day. I would agree. I had some clients on that. Not fun to work with. But we skipped over Paul. I want to make sure Paul has a chance to do his win of the week. So, Paul Gowder, your win of the week.
I got two real quick. Let's see. First, I did launch a new live show that I've been trying to do for probably a year. So I got that launched. The Say More show. It's going to be a weekly show where I just give you some interesting stories and my takes. And two, after trying Justin Moore's system a few times, I'm trying to be very deliberate on it and sending out emails to potential sponsors. I actually landed one using his system this morning. So that was kind of cool.
That is really cool. By the way, folks, Justin Moore has been on the show, so make sure you guys, wherever you're listening or watching from, go back and watch that. His book, Sponsor Magnet, is one of the best ones if you're trying to find sponsors or ideas from the show or your podcast or whatever. Really, really good stuff over there. So for my win of the week, I would say it would be, also we're speaking about live shows, it would be, yes, that's right, folks, we started the Makers Table a show about crafting. So Katie Fox and she crochets, I carve, we have conversation. It's amazing, a lot of fun. We're doing it at 1 o'clock Central again today. So make sure you guys go over there after the show, sign up. It's at The Maker's Table Live over on YouTube. You can find that. Last time I screwed it up, didn't go to the channel. It's all fixed now. We should be good for today. So make sure to check that out because that was a lot of fun. I had got a lot of great comments when I did it back in the COVID era just to do something, and people have been wanting us to bring it back, and then I get Katie on the show, so it's a win-win. We'd love to see you guys over there. Very, very cool. Really quick before we go into the Amy's hot seat is Michelle says, "Yay, I'm following Justin too and have a few potentials in the work." So yeah, it's such a great book. Yeah, his emails are amazing too. Like the way he set up his emails, they're really good. If you haven't subscribed, highly recommend that. So anybody want to comment? Anybody else wins of the week? I know I talked a lot. Anybody else? No? Ready to hit Amy's hot seat? Amy, are you ready?
Sure.
So give kind of an overview of your project so people who are watching live can kind of understand it. We all know what you've been doing, but just kind of a little overview and what you're wanting the masterminds help with today.
Yes. So as I said in my intro, I started my business doing PR for whoever would pay me. And in the last few years decided really I love museums, and that is who I wanted to focus on. And so a couple of years ago, I really niched down, and now I really only work with museums. And one thing that I talk about with my clients a lot is the importance of your brand messaging. You kind of have to practice what you preach. So a few years ago, I redid all of my brand messaging. I also know that you have to keep revisiting it. And so I worked with a copywriter actually right after I did this. She was amazing. But things have still changed. Like as I've been working with museums, as I've been doing research, helping more museums, collecting that data, my process has changed and my messaging needs to change. I've also changed how I work. Most of the work that I do is implementation work. So I'm coming into a museum and helping them with an exhibit opening, but now I want to be able to help more museums. So I've added some consulting offers. And so what I've been working on in the hot seat the first quarter of this year is my messaging. I've been using StoryBrand by Donald Miller. And so I've gotten the group's help on this StoryBrand framework. And so I'm coming back. Oh, go ahead.
Really quick. I wanted to let people know when she says museum, like people think, oh, yeah, museum. She can't say it, but I'm going to. She's talking about the Smithsonian. So she does a lot of work with the Smithsonian. They have how many museums, Amy? I don't even know.
A lot, 20 some.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So just museum. That's what we're talking about, folks.
Yes.
Sorry, Amy. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, yes, I work with a lot of really big museums, but museums are my passion. I want to be able to help smaller museums. And so I've been working on like really thinking about like what are their pain points? What are the problems that they're having? And so I've been working on my messaging. And so I brought to the group all of the homework that I've been doing. So looking at the character, using that StoryBrand framework. So the character of my story is museum professionals. They are really seeking people to come through their doors. Museums are always trying to get visitors through the doors and looking at what their problem is. Low attendance rates. They're frustrated over ineffective marketing strategies. A lot of these museums that I'm helping now, they have really small staffs. They're having to wear like all of these hats. And lots of times they don't have the expertise of marketing. So I also want to be able to give them a strategy that they'll be able to use on their own. So I want to kind of meet them where they are. I want to give them a plan. So the step one of my plan is to schedule a call to find the right package for your team. I have put together over the last few years a method that works with I call it the Love My Museum method. So it works with museums of all shapes, sizes, small staff, large staff, and really it's a communication strategy that they can customize to fit what their museum is. And then you launch your new strategy and you watch, hopefully, lots of first time guests come through your museum, have a really great time, and love it so much that they want to come back. They bring a friend, they buy the t-shirt, they become a donor, like just creating a lifelong relationship with their visitors. So this is what I have been working on.
So real quick, Amy, I want to ask for people,
Yeah.
like, how do they, you've got these 3 steps, and you guys make sure you interject stuff. This isn't just going to be me talking. So even though we're live, how do they get into this like funnel? Because you kind of talked about, getting them. Is it through I know you have a podcast and you have a website and a newsletter. So how do they, like, what's the top of the funnel?
Find me?
Yeah.
Yeah. The podcast has, my podcast is about to turn 2. I've been doing the podcast for a couple of years. That is a great way. I feel like that's a good way for people to find me. It also gives them a lot of help, a lot of resources for free, and they can also get to know me. So it's that know, like, and trust factor. I also have a few lead magnets. I have a planning calendar, I have a metrics template, and I also have written an ebook. Again, I want them to know, like, and trust me, but also have something valuable that they can take and that's going to make their marketing and their communications work easier. So that's sort of like the top of the funnel.
So on this plan, because you kind of have the step 1, 2, and 3, like how do you what do museums like measure for success? You said you want to get them in the door. Do they are they taking what your plan is and then putting it up against like, hey, we got 50 more people signed up for this opening event for this exhibit, or like how do they define success as a museum?
A lot of them aren't collecting that data. A lot of them aren't even doing those metrics, which is why one of the first things that I do when I'm working with a client is to set them up so that they are collecting that data so that they can see a difference. It also really helps them, like if they're going after, going after grants. So if they're applying for a grant or if they're talking to potential donors, having those metrics really helps them. And a lot of museums aren't tracking that.
So how do you make them start tracking it? Like, do you say like, hey, get a punch card, like, right? Have like sign-ins at the exhibit. Like, how do you?
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's data that you need. Like, because otherwise, like, people say, oh, we want you to do this project, and then like, well, what does success look like? I was just telling my daughter this today. You'll really have to go in and when you're meeting with somebody who wants to get your services, you're like, well, what's your definition of success? Like,
yes,
because I don't have any goal posts or lines to cross unless you tell me.
And a lot of times too, either they don't know or they might have an idea. So in addition to like getting them to start working on their metrics and just start recording it, I tell them this template has everything that they need, and to just start doing that every Monday. And then at the end of the month, taking a look at it. It's a little bit of a learning curve, right? Like get into that habit. But also we put together a communications plan, whether it's for a new exhibit, and we talk a lot about those goals. And sometimes those are things that nobody's ever asked them or they haven't even thought about before. So even just the process of thinking about like, what is our metric for success? What is that? Just talking about that is a huge help.
Very cool.
And Jeff, I'll interject. Like Amy, I'm assuming your client base is a lot like mine, meaning there's a lot of diversity in that, meaning they have different goals. They could be two small museums but have two completely different goals, or two large museums and have two completely different goals. I have clients who really want to promote the YouTube side of their image, or whatever. And so I'm sure you see the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. And also, just one thing about our mastermind, just because all of us do different things, Rich and Kira and I all do some sort of public relations or marketing, but for three totally separate audiences.
Right.
Like, we often like share ideas and figure out ways to help our audience based on what the other person has done. That's one of the things I love the most, is the diversity, but also not quite. Like, there are
Right.
commonalities that run
Right.
through it.
Very cool.
So I wanted to go back. Jeff, you were talking about how is she getting people in this? I know this is a little bit off topic, but Amy, I thought about you this week because I'm seeing more posts about people wanting an analog experience. And I think it's time for
Yes.
museums are going to need to lean into that and be like, stop looking at history on TikTok and actually go and see it, feel it, experience it. So I think that's another way we can start getting people in it, whether it's you going to a museum and just filming yourself walking through it. But yeah, I'm hoping that museums kind of lean into this analog age we're going into.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah.
And you know what? That just brought up something, Paul, when you were talking about that, like, because Paul has the Meta glasses, and the
Yeah.
ability to create content easily now for even like people who don't consider themselves techie. You could give some of those, museum people who work in the museum some of those glasses and just say, turn it on and go look and talk through some of the exhibits. And you would have a ton of like short form content that they could do to put out on the socials or whatever. So it's getting really easy. They don't even have to hold up a phone anymore. They can just hit a button on their glasses and start recording what they're seeing.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I also think for museums, it's a great way to use volunteers or interns. That's one thing that I talk about a lot. Especially for those smaller museums that have these like really small staff. Like, how can you involve the volunteers that you have, or your summer intern? I put together a plan last summer for a client. She was like, I have a summer intern and I don't know what to ask them to do. I was like, let them like shoot some B-roll that even after they've left in the summer, like, you'll be able to use that all year long. So that's another thing that we talk about a lot, is just kind of thinking out of the box and how you can get some of these marketing things done. One of the things that I want to talk about today in my hot seat is a lot of museums feel like a strategy, a communication strategy, or a marketing strategy is like a nice to have. And it's really not. Like, it's essential.
Right. Right.
How do I tell them that?
Well, so that's a great. Let's talk about that a little bit, and I'll just throw it out there. Like, how do we? I guess we have to do this to our clients all the time. Like, how do we prove that the ROI for hiring us is worth it, right? And museums think a lot of times, like every other small business, like after the fact, they want to market when they're panicky and like the numbers are down and funding's going to get pulled or something like that. So how do we educate our clients to market when things are going good, and maybe there's a new grant, or a foundation gave them some money, so they're thinking of all these things that we really need to focus their thoughts on marketing. Like, okay, right now you've got some cash in, let's do some of these video projects and put together a tracking system. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Like, how do you, Jim, educate your clients on like, okay, live video, you need to do it now and not wait till, you're in a panic and you need people in the door?
Well, I think part of it is you have to ask the question, like, well, how are you attracting people now? Or how do I even know what you do? Because if there's nothing out there, and I'm sure you've all run into we'll call it the older people, even though I'm entering that phase of like, well, I get business from referrals. It's like, what, from the yellow pages?
What are those?
I mean, so I think it's that whole thing of how are you educating people about what it is you provide? What problem do you solve? Like, what problem is a museum solving for people? Is it, well, it's giving me a way to learn, a way to entertain, a way to, open somebody's mind to something they maybe didn't realize. So how do they, so that's what you kind of make them think about. It's not so much about us,
Right.
it's about them. And I think it kind of goes back to the whole hero's journey thing of you're making them the hero. So there I threw the Donald Miller in there for you.
There you go.
Yep.
Okay.
Well,
ahead,
Rich, I want to
Kira.
go to you. I want to go to Kira real quick because there's a lot of similarities to me between museums getting people in the door and theaters getting people in the door, because they both are kind of relying on foot traffic to pay the bills at the end of the day. So what do you think, Kira, like educating your theater clients?
Yeah, I think one thing that came up when you were talking about that is the fact that, if you put a bunch of museums next to each other on Instagram and you covered their logo, would you be able to tell by what they're posting and how they're talking about their museum and how they're engaged with their community, what that museum is and where they're located, who they are? And I think that's a really good question to ask them going in, is like, how do people know what differentiates you from all of these other places within your content? How are you engaging in your community? Can you do like little pop-ups at coffee houses and like playing off Paul's idea, like bringing those analog features? I don't know if you guys have seen the reels where they have like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and a millennial hanging up a phone, and the millennials always like smashing it,
Right.
and the Gen Z's like doing this.
Yeah.
Can you go into coffee houses with something really interesting from the museum and like bring in the analog? So bring it to the community first, and then bring the community in. But I think another good question to ask them is, what museums do you admire? Because chances are museums that are doing really well, that are showing up, whether it's on social media, their website, and their community, if they're admiring them because they're doing well, they're probably doing things that Amy wants them to do.
Right.
So then you can point to those museums and say, well, they're doing really well because they're investing in marketing, communications, PR. And without that, how do people know to come and see you and spend time with you? And the same is true for theaters, totally.
Yeah. So Rich, I know you had something to say, and I think it's really interesting because both you and Paul are kind of event-based. A lot of your business is event-based. And so I want to kind of contrast that to what, Jim and Kira said. Like, how do you educate your clients of what success looks like, when you're talking about dirt track racing?
Yeah. So I focus on storytelling, to be honest. I want people to connect with that driver, that person, that team. And so I try to tell the story of their personality and their challenges and while it is always easier to ride a wave that's already building, sometimes you have to create the wave as well. Right. And so the storytelling is where it's at. So I have clients who in the beginning, they don't understand, and I'm sure Amy can relate to this, like they don't want to talk about it, things that aren't going well, but that's what people connect with. When things are down, that's when you still need to have your name out there. You still need to be talking about it. And the empathy sometimes fans or sponsors feel for a client who's struggling and the challenges they're facing is more attractive than success stories, So I think bottom line is it boils down to storytelling. And that's not just the racing side, it's the human side. I've had people connect with a team because they found out the driver's a big fan of sushi. Well, I like sushi too. So, it's silly things, right? It's human, it's storytelling at its core.
Very cool. So Paul, what about you? I mean, because you're also events, like you go and live stream powwows from across the country. So when you go to let's say a new powwow that you haven't, had a contract with before, like how do you say what success is for that live event?
For me, it's a little easier because I'm able to show numbers because we've been doing it for so long.
Right.
And I know, Amy, you're a little handcuffed because you can't show all of your past work. So I think it is trying to find some examples of people, using your framework and then showing before and afters. I go back to, I like what Rich said too. When we go to a powwow, so I'm heading to one later today, we're going to be focused on, yes, we're going to be streaming the whole thing and I'll be able to show those numbers. Like here's how many people viewed it, but I'm also trying to create a story for that powwow so that and going back to what Kira said, can somebody identify that powwow just from looking at it? I want to express like, here is what this powwow does different. So when somebody thinks about it next year, they know, oh, okay, this is the one where they do this and this and this. So it's those are the things that, and then you can approach the committee and say, this is why you hire us, because we're going to do this for you. We're going to build your personality. And I'm guessing a lot of museums really don't. Yeah, my idea, what I imagine is these social media people, if that's even their job, because I know they wear lots of hats, is that they're probably stressing over a post for days before they make a single one, instead of just posting something real.
Right.
So yeah, it's about trying to get them to tell the story of who they are as a museum, and then you can show that before and after.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and that telling the story of their museum is very different than their mission statement.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's
Yes.
another really tough
Yes.
thing to kind of get across. And also, like you guys were saying, they shouldn't be event-based, but lots of times they are. Like
Mhm.
they think like, oh, here's a new exhibit. And then they don't think about PR until the next exhibit opens. So convincing them that it has to be sort of a consistent thing.
Yeah. So, by the way, if you're listening in the comments, if you're watching in the comments, let us know how you define success for your clients. When you go to and do a pitch to a new client for a service, I'd love to know how you guys kind of get to that angle of like, what do they look like for success? Do you just ask them like, what do you think success is, or how do you come about it when you're talking with your clients when you're trying to set up some work? So, Amy, go ahead and let's go really quickly. Gosh, this is
Sure.
flying by. We had a little extra stuff, so usually we're a little bit
Yeah.
deeper in the stuff. But why don't you kind of really quickly run through your offer stack, what it is, and how it kind of works?
Yep. Yeah, I'll quickly go through this and then I'll tell you what my
Your questions are.
new
Yeah.
questions are. So I've been talking about sort of 3 different offers. One is kind of a low friction entry offer. It's a museum digital assessment. I do an audit, like an online audit. I talk to people a lot about how when someone is walking through your museum's doors, that is not your first interaction with them. They've been stalking you online. They've looked at your website. They've tried to look up your hours. So this offer is a 1-month time frame where I'm looking at that and then giving them like a checklist. And then we have a follow-up call to say like, how did it go? And they also have Voxer access to be during that month to kind of keep them on track. The second one is a 3-month consulting. We do biweekly calls. It really is focusing maybe on one problem. Again, I try to make it customizable, but also have some boundaries for myself, and so that I'm not like recreating an offer or recreating something every time. So this is, maybe they need to do a communications plan. Maybe they have a big renovation coming up, or maybe they have an exhibit coming up, but it's really like teaching them. One of my favorite like testimonials is someone said, she's the Mary Poppins of museums. And
great. Yeah.
like she leaves things better than they found it. And actually one of my questions for you today is that word consultant kind of makes museum people a little prickly.
Really?
And I remember this from working in a museum. Like they think of a consultant as like, they're going to come in, they don't really understand how we work. They're just going to talk at us like we're stupid. They're going to throw a plan on the table and then they're going to leave. And that is not how I work at all.
Right.
Like I stick around, I help them. We create like a new system, a new strategy together, but then I stick around to make sure that it's usable. What do we need to tweak? So I've really been thinking the last few months, and since I was on the hot seat last, about what's a better way to describe myself than consultant. And my idea right now is it's a strategic partnership.
Yeah, I like that.
I hope that will kind of land a little bit better. And then so that second offer is really more of a one-on-one. Maybe it's somebody who's never had any marketing training, but now they're wearing that marketing hat. So like teaching them sort of how to do things, but giving them a system.
So you called it the tier one thing, a
Yes.
strategic systems residency.
Yes.
Why did you call it residency? That seems very medical field to me.
Oh, I was thinking more of like a museums are very much like colleges.
Oh, okay.
And so like you might have a residency. Sometimes it's also called like a fellow. There'll be a museum fellow or a fellowship where they're coming in. Maybe they're doing a certain kind of research or they're helping on a certain project. So I wanted to give residency. I wanted to give that idea of like I'm coming in and I'm part of your team, like
Got it.
for the whole team. And that tier one is not just external communications. That's a 6-month commitment. It's not just external communications, but it's also internal communications. A lot of times museums are working in like these departmental silos where nobody's talking to each other. And it creates so many problems, not just internally, but also for your external communications. So that's how that one is different.
So if residency, I think if that's like what they call it, that's if they know it, that's fine. I was just like, that sounds medical to me.
It does. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
Do they? So there's a thing going around like marketing circles where they call it a fractional, CMO. Would museums understand what a fractional
I don't know.
partner would be?
I've seen that too. That's
Yeah.
a good question.
Yeah, I was thinking about that same kind of thing, is like a part-time, not consultant, but like your part-time PR exec, you're something to make it feel like you are part of the team with, I know when I worked in government, the word consultant, it always threw us back, and we did not want a consultant in the building.
Right.
Yeah. I like that.
What do you think about the word either advisor or strategist, or, maybe you're like you're a museum advisor, or, even a museum specialist, because I could see, because advisor kind of fits into college. We all had our advisors.
Yeah.
Specialist, because you do know so much, but you don't want to call yourself an expert, but specialist really has expertise.
I like that. I also do like the word strategist because that really is what it is. Like I want to create a strategy that they're going to be able to use and reuse, like a system. Yeah, I like those.
And I might put those things together, Amy, because meaning strategic partner, because I love the word partnership. I focus on that. In my calls and stuff, like initial contact with people, I really try to get to know them, and we exchange ideas. It's not just how can I help you? It's I'm wanting to know how they can help me, and they don't necessarily realize that's what I'm asking, but I want to work with people who make me better too. And I find clients that, it's not just words to me. I really am looking for that. And I have clients who have made me better because they've challenged me or they've brought ideas to the table. And I think so that strategic partnership, it's a two-way street. We're working together, for me, goes a long way.
Yeah.
So
Thanks, guys.
by the way, if you can help Amy out, that would be great for us in the comments. We already got some people popping in with their, but mostly Disney says, I kind of like Mary Poppins of museums. He kind of likes that. And then
Thanks, Sean.
Chris says fractional for a lot of people just translates to a person who works part-time for less money. I like strategies better. I wonder if tell me if I'm wrong, but I was thinking of like your strategic curator, because curators are in museums,
I like that. Yeah.
And they put stuff together and they pull different, like
communications curator
or virtual curator or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
So I was just off the top of my head. By the way, if you guys know anything better than what we're having, this is why we're doing it live. Let us know in the comments what you think.
Thanks,
Go ahead.
guys.
Yeah. And Rich has a great point. He says partner seems really overused these days. So that's why I was kind of going with curator or something museum-y.
Yeah.
I don't know. Your mummy of marketing. I don't know. Sorry.
just to throw this out there, and I don't know if it'd work because I think it kind of depends on who you're talking to as well, like what level of the organization they're in. But I keep thinking of the word mentor because you talk like museum mentor because you talk
Mhm.
to about a lot of people who are wearing a
Mm.
lot of hats. Maybe they don't have PR marketing background and they come to you and they're just like, I need this. I know I need it. I know the value of it, but I don't even know where to begin. And you're teaching them as you're helping them, right? So that they can take some of it on themselves over time. Um, so maybe that there's something to play with there. But I like partnership too, even if it's used a lot, because it's just that you are collaborative when you have a client like that, and you can't do it without them, and they can't do it without you. So
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Amy, take us through I think you have one more of your stack, and then
Yes.
your questions because we got like 15 minutes left. This is
Yeah.
flying by. This is fun.
Well, yeah, and and I would also love to talk about like why we like our masterminds.
Yeah,
so
we'll have
much.
time for that. I
Yeah.
wanted to get to your questions first, so
Yeah.
let's do that.
So the third offer is I call it an advisory. So it's that 90-day. And so I am already sort of using that word advisory, and it's kind of a done with you, just the one person. So really, so there's the museum digital assessment, which is just looking at that online presence. Then the advisory is 3 months focusing,
You're
on
good.
one person. And then the residency is 6 months, and it's really the whole team. And it's looking at external communications and internal communications. And so the next part of my process is we get on a call and sort of talk about what you what you need, what are your problems, what's going on right now. And those always go really well. Um, but then I don't hear back. Like I send follow-ups, I send a follow-up strategic partnership guide. I have been doing like a video. And so I'm wondering, and one thing that we've talked a little bit about is there information that I'm missing on the discovery call?
Mm.
I also know, and Kira and I have talked about this, that it takes a little while for my potential client to get the funds together or to like build something into their budget. So it can take like a year before
Oh,
I hear
gosh.
back from people. And that is rough.
Yeah.
So,
So-
and I know that Rich has used like a pitch stack before and things like that. So I love some ideas.
So it's funny because we were talking about this the other day, and Paul jumped into, but a lot of people want to kick the tires, and it depends on your industry. Like for a lot of times, people would want to, when I was doing like BNI, they'd want to pick my brain and take me out to lunch and basically give them a plan, and then they wouldn't pay me for it. So I started charging for an audit. Like if you want me to go look at your books and give you ideas, I mean, I'll meet with you and have a discovery call for 15 minutes. That's great. But after that, if I'm doing any sort of research, I need to get paid for it. And you've got this year turnaround. Is there, I mean, I know you have some of these offers now that you can kind of plug in there to kind of do that. Is there anything else that we're not thinking about to get them to pay you quicker than that? That's the kind of thing. I hate for you to do stuff for free. Paul, were you going to say something?
And I do a lot of research to get ready for the discovery calls. I also have a strategy session, like an hour call that I don't promote very much. And maybe I should talk about that more. Paul's going to say probably in my email list.
No, what I was going to say, in your discovery call, I know when we did have consultants coming into my government agency, the ones who were very successful in our discovery call made a point to put it on us to define who is the person responsible for this project and commit to a certain amount of time each week. And they, that was the couple that we worked with that were really, really successful with us. They were almost hardcore, like in the discovery call. Kira, you are going to be the point of contact, and you're going to have to commit 2 hours a week to this project. Can you do that? And I don't know, maybe you need to actually have somebody step up and do that each time so that you don't go unanswered. I know that's probably tough for some of the smaller museums, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea.
I wonder too if part of that is saying we've had this great conversation and letting them know that you understand the industry. Like I know you have to go back and get budget approved by a board. Maybe you're working on a grant, and I totally get that. Can we put something on the calendar 3 months from now while we're on the call together so that I can make sure that I'm supporting you in that process? And that if they have questions about writing a grant, because that's also something they're probably juggling, or, whatever else they're working on, that you could maybe be there for 20 minutes to be like, how's it going? Do you need help with anything? And then you have something on the calendar.
I love that idea too.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's some way that I don't know, like you can tease something that's part of a paid thing. Like here's like the first part of like a audit I've done for you that's a deep dive, but you only get it if you book me for this. Or you know what I'm saying? Like there's a part 1 and part 2 and they have to pay for part 2. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of ways to, because I know one of your questions was on the discovery calls to get them so they don't ghost you, right? Like, oh, this is great. I can't wait. We've all had those calls. Like, oh, let me meet with my team and I'm ready to go. And then crickets for like ever. And then they'll call you like 2 years later and you're like, I don't even know who you are. I can't remember.
Well, and it's also hard because I don't want them to work with me if it's like not the right time, not a good fit. So I don't, and I even talk about like, these discovery calls, I am not going to be pushy. Like this is just information. So like what information, is there more information that I could give them? And now I am interested to see like now that I've added like sending a video, because I think that that's the other thing. And I know we've talked about before, especially for a museum, lots of times and I think Rich and I have talked about it, lots of times the person that you talk to on that call isn't the decision maker, or they need to share it with other people. And so it's a lot for you to expect them to go and do the same thing that you just did. So like what tools can we give to them so that it makes their job easier doing that? Like if they have to go back to a board or they have to go back to a director, well, they shouldn't have to sell what I'm selling, right? So how can I make that easier? So we'll see like if the video helps.
I wonder if you could take and say, hey, we're going to record this conversation, run it through ChatGPT, and then give them like, so Social Media Examiner, one of the things they do that's really good on their page for their conference is they have a whole thing of like how to tell your boss, how to get your boss to send you to social media marketing world. Something like that effect. Like we had this call, here's the bullet points, but here's how you like can sell it to your higher ups. And because of this, this, and this. And the other thing I was thinking while you're talking was like, okay, like do the same kind of thing, tease them a bullet pointed, like, hey, you have this exhibit coming up. I think we could do this, this, and this. Here's this. If you want to have the full fleshed out plan, it's X amount of money and we have to do another call or something like that. And you see what you like teasing, like what you can do and then let it go. I'll let you, so we're getting close to time. I want everybody to kind of give their thoughts on this. I'll shut up. Paul, you were going to say something. Oh, Rich, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. Yeah.
I was going to piggyback on what you just said, Jeff, because I had made a note here to myself. First of all, I love the video part. I think it makes a connection. It makes it personal. You're not just a voice on the phone. I think that's great. But what Jeff just suggested essentially is what I was thinking. You've already done this homework before the discovery call. You've done a certain amount of work. You have ideas of what they need and who they are. And if you can leverage that you've already done, to Jeff's point, and just make some bullet points and say, here's what I already have found about you and what I think you need and how I could possibly help, but we could work together. They get a feel for what you're going to deliver already. Like they get a feel, they understand that you have already invested, that you make use of that work that you've already done and show them a teaser or an example. Yeah.
I'm going to take it a step further. I don't know if any of you are familiar with a book by a gentleman by the name of Stu Heinecke. It's called How to Get a Meeting with Anyone. And you're kind of wasting your time on the wrong people. So instead of you're not even necessarily hitting the gatekeeper. You're hitting someone that you hope is going to take your information that you just spent a lot of time investing, hoping it's going to get to the right person. So I think it's about getting to that right person, and he's got all kinds of ways. He's shown how people have gotten a meeting with the right person, which are some are really kind of amazing and original. Uh, that's what I would take a look at, as opposed to continuing to do things the way you've been doing them. But we can talk about that later.
Thanks, Jim. Anyone else for Amy advice as we wrap things up? This is, for you guys watching, this is kind of an abbreviated one. We usually have a whole hour. We're trying to stuff in some new things and bring in your comments, which we have some great ones, by the way. Kevin says from Doghouse Dog Media says, I like mentor, partner, coach, something that hits on all the feels within a community. And he also says an AI recap is a great idea. Ask add follow-up questions that identify a timeline, cost, and next steps. Test the waters to see how serious they are. This is great stuff. That's why we do it live, so people give us great things. And I think Chris says, I try to have Jim use live video Burgermeister, but he hasn't done it yet. Okay. That's why we love Chris Stone, everybody from Cast Ahead, Cottonette. Let's just kind of wrap up because we've got about 5 minutes left. I would love for people to go around and, I talk about in my emails a lot. I talk about when I do this show, how important masterminds have been to my business. And now we have this one that I do. I have a couple other ones that I meet with throughout the week, but I would love for you guys to just, you don't have to, if you don't like it, tell everybody. But if you do like it, tell a couple reasons why this has helped your business and what you're looking forward to in the mastermind for the future. So I'll start with Kira.
Yeah, I think for me, it's three things. It's growth, accountability, and then the friendship, really. So growth, with this group, I have moved my business forward. I'm finally in the niche I want to be in. There's so many things that I kept, putting on the ethereal whiteboard as, oh, maybe someday I'll do this, that are finally moving forward because I had this amazing group of people to tell me, yes, you should do it. Oh, do you think you should do it that way? There's growth, but there's also challenge in the best way. It's very constructive, super helpful. There's accountability. So like you talked about, we have to get ready for those hot seats. We have to move every week. I'm like, what is my win of the week? Did I finish something? I need to make sure I have something. That's really helpful. And I don't take it for granted. And then most importantly, the friendships. When I left corporate, I had this open floor plan marketing team. There were a bunch of us talking all day long, bouncing ideas off of each other. And then I went and worked in a cone of silence, which was great for focus. But I ended up talking to myself, my computer, and the mirror a lot. So it's really nice to have these colleagues and these friends. I mean, we keep saying colleagues, but it really is, like you said in the beginning, family members. We know about each other's families. We know stuff that's going on in our lives because business is personal. People say it's not personal, it's business. But as a solopreneur, entrepreneurs, our whole lives impact what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So you guys know if there's challenges going on outside the business or health things or whatever, and there's support and love and care there. But then there's also amazing ideas and collaboration. And that's so helpful. It's really hard to, you can only brainstorm for yourself or by yourself for so long. Right. So to have these conversations is huge. And they happen in the mastermind, and then they happen in little sidebars outside the mastermind. We continue having those conversations. And everyone here has been such a gift in my life. So, awesome. So grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, it's hard. ChatGPT will just always agree with you. Yeah, that's a great idea, Kira. You should do that. Exactly. You should do that. What about you, Amy? How about this mastermind for you?
Oh, I think everything that Kira said, I think, there's something to be said for borrowed courage, maybe is the right way to say it. Sometimes we're too close to our own problems. And so when you have a group of people saying you can do this, it just gives you the courage to kind of take a leap over something that you've probably been overthinking. Mm-hmm. I think too, the first 20 years of my business, I didn't realize what I was missing. I didn't realize that I was missing those water cooler chats and things from being in an office. And this time together, every Monday for an hour, I've been in this mastermind for over a year now. that time with each other really adds up. And
Yeah.
having a group of people that you can look to and that know you so well really makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm tearing up. This is so good. Jim, what about you? You've been one of the, like, you and Rich, I think, the longest members in here.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's a couple things. I mean, first of all, for those that don't realize that every one of the people in this mastermind is in a different physical location. So we're literally, coming from, well, I'll just say all over the country to get together. And because it's a small group and it's focused, I mean, you go to I'll call it a business networking meeting, which I don't usually do much of that anymore. And are you really going to get to talk to anybody, even
Right.
if you go every week? Where, like they said, and I know I've got my hot seat on Monday. An hour, you're going to be grilled potentially, but it's also an outsider's perspective on what you're doing. And even when I was in the military, we would have these boards that we had, like in my case, logistics guys or people that weren't necessarily someone pulling a trigger, to give that different perspective that when you're too close to it, you sometimes forget. And I think that that's extremely valuable. And it's similar or to business coaching in a sense, but it helps you keep moving forward. And I think
Yeah.
the accountability is really good as well.
Yeah, it's like your own C-suite that you can ask questions of, that are people who are better at
Yes.
certain things than you. All right, Rich, what about you?
So, yeah. So basically, my business, as I said earlier, is heading into its 7th year. But I feel like, in a maturity way, it's twice that old, because this group has helped me just save an immense amount of trial and error time. Right? I bring challenges forward. We talk about possible solutions. I move forward with one, sometimes a few months later. Kit. But but the reality is that amount of time saved is amazing. The accountability factor, 100%, 1000%. I mean, everybody said that. It's true. And the other thing I want to share for anybody who's thinking about getting in a mastermind, or do I need one, and would it help, and do I belong, and all of that. I was really afraid I would only be kind of receiving help and not giving it in the beginning, because, when we first started, I mean, Jeff, Paul, we knew each other for a while, but you guys are already further along in your journeys and so forth. And I was, well, only a couple of years in at that time, I think. And that turned out to be absolutely not true, even though my discipline of dirt motorsports is so far detached from what you guys do. The overlap, the continuity, the dovetail, whatever you want to call it, was so much greater. And it felt pretty good the first time or two I'm on a call, and I'm like, I put something out that you guys were like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
You can help each other. It doesn't matter where you're at in your journey. You can help each other. So don't be afraid to jump into a mastermind.
Yeah, and Rich, you have done a ton for this. And that's what's so cool. Everybody, even though if they don't think so, they contribute. Everybody has skills and talents and things that they contribute to the group. And that's why we always, always said it's a 6-month commitment, because it takes that long really to kind of to gel with each other and find out things like, oh, Rich is really good at this, and Kira is really good at writing this kind of stuff, and and so finding that stuff out is fun. It's almost like you see these people develop, and they can help you develop your own stuff that you kind of have trouble with. Paul, what about you? Now, Paul has been very quiet today. He's not usually this quiet. He runs this. He's being nice because it's my show, but he and I run this mastermind together. So, Paul, what has this mastermind meant to you?
Masterminds in general have been huge for my business. I was in one for years, and running this one for me, back when I was not full-time doing this, it made me treat my side hustle as a business and not just this thing I did on the side. Made me be really intentional about it. And I was talking to my wife about doing this today, and what she reminded me is that even though I can go to her and she's very supportive and I can ask questions, she pointed out that the number of times that I can go to a group like this, whether it's celebrating a win or ask a question, and you guys all get what we are, because we're, all kind of in the same realm, even though different disciplines of it, that makes a huge difference, because this is, like Amy and Kira mentioned, this can be lonely being an entrepreneur, solopreneur. And so having a group of people that get you and you can have conversations with is major.
Yeah. And by the way, this isn't a commercial, but it kind of is. If you guys want to, I hope you hear that, get in a mastermind. Even if it's not one that
Yes.
Paul and I run, Paul and I are starting another mastermind with another group of people. If you want to be a part of that, make sure you just send us a message in any of our socials or our newsletters or emails. We're more than happy to talk to you about that. But get in a mastermind, even if it's not Paul and mine. Get in one because it makes a huge difference. It's what I give a lot of the success to my business. I've been doing this for over 25 years. I think the masterminds and being with people who support you is what's made a huge difference for me. And by the way, I was so excited about all my friends joining. I forgot to mention the sponsor of the show who allow us to do all these people inside of Ecamm at once. I've got like 6 people on the
Yay,
screen.
Ecamm.
I'm using Ecamm. It was really actually... I waited too long to set this up, but it was actually really, really easy. If you want to find out more about Ecamm, go to ecamm.com/Jeff to save 15% on your first purchase. Thank you guys. Everybody go follow all these folks because they're amazing in each one of their disciplines. I appreciate every single one of them. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been amazing. Appreciate you. Thank you, Paul, Amy, Jim, Kira, Rich, everybody who watched today. Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.